if you can come out of the formal education world with that skill, the critical thinking skills, the study skills, based in the learning science, then you're going to be in a great position to then constantly adapt and learn to the changing world around us.
Welcome to Data and AI Mastery, the podcast where we bring you cutting-edge insights, practical advice, and inspiring stories from the leaders shaping the future of data and AI across the globe. I'm your host, Raoul-Gabriel Urma, founder of Cambridge Spark, the leader in transformational data and AI upskilling, career development, and progression. In each episode, I will be diving into real-world case studies of companies harnessing the power of AI to drive innovation, reduce cost, and create new business opportunities. So whether you're an aspiring data scientist, AI engineer, or seasoned executive, this show is designed to give you the tools and knowledge to stay ahead in a world where data is transforming every aspect of business. Stay ahead, stay inspired, stay masterful. Welcome to Data and AI Mastery. Hey Dave, good to see you. How are you doing?
I'm good. Nice to see you too. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, well, it's fantastic to have you on. I thought to kick us off, I'd love to learn more about your job at Pearson, right? So Pearson is a FTSE 100 company, phenomenal brand, a giant in the education sector, and the CTO job must come with a lot of responsibility. So I'd love to hear from you a little bit what it entails.
It's a new position for us. So I joined 8 months ago. We didn't have a chief technology officer before, and really it was in recognition that we needed to add a few dimensions. And so one is I came in with three first missions. The first one was to stand up an innovation architecture in recognition that we had wonderful pockets of innovation happening around the organization, but it's very difficult for a public company. You face the 90-day shot clock of performance and results, and it's very easy to have innovation fall to the wayside under the pressures of an ongoing business. And so having an enduring, persistent, dedicated function that can operate against short, medium, and long-term innovation and position ourselves in the long term is just a great best practice. And so standing that up. The second mission was to establish a technical future state architecture for the organization. We've been have incredible individual business units that have been doing wonderful work, but now we're going to pivot more into being an operating company and finding those synergies across those businesses. And so having a single architecture vision for the future that brings together all the strengths of Pearson is the goal. And so I've convened the lead architects from across the organization to do just that and think through how do we take the goodness from each area and move in a singular direction. And then the third one, and very relevant for I think what we're going to have fun talking about, is standing up an AI and data center of excellence, recognizing just the extreme importance of that for our future, and to bring together the best of thinkers and tinkers, and have just a dedicated focus to AI and data.
Great. Those are really exciting priorities, and I look forward to deep dive specifically in the data and AI one. So if we talk about AI, typically I hear sort of three buckets. One is AI for inward-facing use cases, so to support the operational capability. The second one I hear about, is more related to customer experience, kind of like the front end. And I thought would be a really interesting discussion today as well is the third bucket around, the workforce and AI skills in a rapidly moving environment. So I thought it would be fun to go through those three sort of categories.
Can I add a fourth?
Yeah.
There's a fourth, which is just the ability to modernize, work our way out of legacy technology debt. Which I suppose fits into your category. From an internal software development lifecycle perspective, aiming it at modernizing legacy technology is a great use case too.
Yeah. All right. Let's throw that in. So why don't we start with maybe the operational efficiency, operational capabilities? What sort of use case are you excited about? Are you exploring it at Pearson? How to use AI internally, I guess.
Yeah, so, maybe a little bit of context. Pearson, we do 3 things, right? We create and curate content. I'll come back to that one. We distribute that content through a variety of different digital experiences, courseware, and capabilities, and then we help people prove what they know, right? So we help people, through our assessments, formative and summative assessments, we help people prove what they know through our, assessments and qualifications business. Um, Across those domains, that first one of creating and curating content, that was one of the first things we did. So we stood up a central team that specifically created a means by which we could then produce content supported by AI, human in the loop, with much faster, better, more, higher quality, tapping into that core strength and making it even better. So content generation for us is a big deal because it's one of the core 3 things we do. But then there are all the use cases, around, how do we use it to improve call center operations? How do we help with, being able to answer HR questions? How do we, really enable employees broadly? And we're doing all of it. So you'll see, as an example, we signed a deal with a great partner in ServiceNow a few months ago, and are partnering with them around their AI capabilities and integrating that into our internal processes. Signed a deal with Microsoft and focusing on Copilot and enabling all of our employees to be able to use Copilot in their jobs. And so it's we have a broad focus on well, I'm yeah, sorry, spoiler alert. Broad focus on all 3 of your categories. So, but yeah, certainly on the internal efficiency space is a big deal.
Great. So if I play this back, so content generation, you know, clear core focus because it's a vital aspect of what Pearson does. So it makes a lot of sense to look at efficiency, scalability, and so on. And then I think you described some use cases that are related to internal knowledge sharing, knowledge access to employees, call center support, and general productivity related to Copilot. How do you measure ROI? I guess in all those sort of maybe more internal facing initiatives.
It's, case by case. It's understanding, does this free up capacity to enable our workforce to upgrade what they do, do something more interesting, more valuable, more productive. So having those baseline measures to understand, um, you know, number of calls, handled in an automated fashion, the ability to reduce call volumes because we can get people answers to their questions in a self-service manner. So there's just some basic call center focus, statistics focus, that are metrics focus, that's easy to measure. Software development life cycle, the whole notion of, percentage of code, velocity of code, quality of code, how much is being actually written by with AI support, versus not. So, area by area, that we take the base metrics that pertain to the effective, efficient operations of that area, and then we're seeing if we can actually improve them. So it all starts with a grounding and truly understanding your business and what drives the cost base on it.
Fascinating. And I guess if we continue that thread, you mentioned a sort of fourth bucket around sort of modernizing the tech stack. So, maybe I'll think about it as kind of like operational capability and upgrading organization as new technologies comes in. How do you balance between kind of like short-term, deliverable, short-term improvements versus taking the longer-term view? Because I imagine modernizing a tech stack can take time.
It does take time, and that's why, I called that one out specifically because I'm very excited to be able to not have it take as much time as it has. At the if I think across my career, I've for it the notion of finding people who understand the COBOL code that was written, a couple of engineering generations ago, has been a persistent topic now for the past 20 years. And the fact that it's still a topic is insane in some levels. And so, it's a tough issue. It's a tough issue. And so, now if through the support of AI, we can actually get to a point where we can evaluate that code that wasn't well documented, for whom the people who wrote it are no longer with us in the workforce, and we can evaluate it quickly, we can document it, we can then refactor it, upgrade it, test it, getting us out of legacy technology debt. No matter what industry you're in, there is some or a lot, depending on your industry. The use of AI to get us out of that legacy technology debt would be, is going to be material, because then we can focus on the new, I would much rather focus on the development of new products and doing new interesting things than working out of the old.
Hey, that's an excellent point you're making. I had not considered with this angle. So by utilizing AI, you can actually speed up the time to reduce technical debt by kind of like, I guess, through documentation, automated test generation, and maybe even code translation to kind of bring it back to the new world. That's fascinating point, actually. I love that one.
It's not the sexiest part, unless you're an engineer that's neck deep in legacy debt, technology modernization, and then it's transformative. So
Yeah. And I guess it makes sense to focus on removing inertia to increase agility. So that's a great place. Where the technology seems to be good enough today, I guess, right? The whole code generation, automation, so on seems to have taken quite a leap forward, would you say?
it has. You definitely still need human in the loop to really make sure that it's the quality that you need, and that and the testing is crucial. But absolutely, AI is speeding that up and making it better and better. I have no doubt that over the coming, I mean, gosh, it's hard to pick timeframes in this particular space. So let's go the coming short time period. That's just gonna, I do hold out a lot of hope that actually we may be able to see a fundamental rethink of legacy technology debt, and maybe get that off our backs in the way that it is holding every industry back today.
Fantastic. So we've talked about kind of like the internal operations, modernizing the tech stack. So let's assume that, this is going great. Now we can focus on more the external facing use cases of AI. And, clearly AI has scope to do a lot of good in the education space. So I'd love to hear from you. What gets you excited? Or any use case that, you're working on related to customer experience or learner experience? That'd be great to hear more about.
Yeah, well, we have actual product out in market. We're careful to call it beta, but we have millions and millions of data points now with our AI-based tools out in market with teachers and with students, and we're getting great feedback, and a few surprises. Maybe they should, in hindsight, maybe they shouldn't be surprises. My favorite one, my favorite surprise is our students. The peak volumes of students engaging with our AI study, support tools for studying, learning and studying, happen between 11 p.m. and 1 a.m. So they're basically happening as soon as the professor goes to sleep, and the kids are out there starting to study, and so in hindsight, of course, right? That's when I studied, when I was in college, and but the notion of not having to wait till the next day or a few days for office hours, or sending an email and getting a response, the ability for students to get answers to their questions in a way that's grounded in the professor's content and curriculum. It is, giving teachers the feedback as to what the class is struggling with, so that they can then upgrade what they do in the classroom to elevate the conversation or remediate something that the class just wasn't getting. But that notion of being in the moment when the students need answers to questions, and being able to give them those, engage with them. Actually, I just said that wrong. It's not answers to their questions, because that's the differential that we're doing, is we've we're encoding our pedagogy, our learning science into that interaction, so that we're actually guiding them to learn and engage, not just giving them the answers, which is a crucial part of all of this. But to be able to do that in the moment when they need it, when it's in the flow of their lives, it has been key. And then the other piece that has been incredibly gratifying is the feedback we're getting from students, um, where again, in hindsight, it's obvious we've all been embarrassed to ask that question. Right? We've sat in an audience or we just felt like, it was, we for whatever reason, every one of us has probably been in the scenario where we've just been embarrassed or shy to ask the question. And to be able to give tooling to students, where it's private, personal to them. They can ask whatever they want, to be unafraid, to be able to get and explore concepts, no matter what their ideas are, and to be able to get guided in a way that's, grounded in trusted content, and encoded with the pedagogy to guide them through how to actually engage and learn. Um, Taking away the notion of asking, being afraid to ask the dumb question, I think is just incredible, and students are thanking us for that. It unlocks a whole new level of engagement and comfort with learning.
Brilliant. That's really exciting. So if I play this back, the use of AI has really um, great potential to increase learner engagement. And this is done through a few different sort of features, right? So like private support, like you described, having access to help when you need it. You might feel embarrassed, but maybe with AI, it's a little more private and confidential, so you feel better about it. Um, the second one is around learning in the flow of your life, like you described. So access to maybe not immediate answer, but access to immediate support grounded in your pedagogy. So that's super cool. Um, and what about the teachers themselves? Like, do you see any opportunities for them?
Absolutely. The teachers, we've been doing a lot of ethnographic research on both students and teachers and what they need. One of the things that teachers struggle with the most, is my class getting it? Are they learning the content? Are they truly engaging? And the traditional basic mechanism to know that is to give the quiz, the test, the assignment. But that's periodic, right? It's, you can't do, you don't want to give the test every day. And so that notion, of being able to see an aggregate, obviously, we're very focused on privacy and the like, but a teacher being able to see an aggregate, what types of questions are the students asking, what are they struggling with, and then being able to get that feedback to then change the nature of what they do front of classroom, or supplemental materials or engaging. Now suddenly we're in a much more dynamic, um, transparent, productive, mode between teachers and students to be able to really drive the learning and the engagement, rather than waiting till the midterm, to know, did they, are they grokking the material.
So the next kind of category was, more related to skills for the future. I'd love to hear your perspective, right? It feels like we live in a world where every year, every month at this point, right? Like there's kind of like new tools, new technology. So I'd love to hear about you. How do you think about the skills for the future, for the workforce? Today we're talking about AI skills. What does that mean to you?
This is super important to us. We put out a thought leadership piece in January called "Lost in Transition," and it is really informing our strategy. So the demographic shifts that are underway, the advancement in AI, but other technologies as well, creating a construct where the workforce gaps that we're facing are just growing, and we need different answers as to how to cover it. So in the U.S., from a demographic perspective, 10% of the workforce, is 10% of the U.S. population is going to leave the workforce in the next 5 to 6 years. There are tremendous shortages in nursing, other aspects of healthcare, computer scientists, et cetera. And so we've got a privileged position that we play, with respect to both understanding that challenge, given our data around our skills data, and through the Fathom business that we bought a few years ago, our credential data around what learners credentials, that they're gathering through our Credly business. When you put the two of those together, we've got a really, unique position to be able to, to answer that challenge. And so we've got a privileged position that we play, with respect to both understanding that challenge, given our data around our skills data, and our credential data around what learners credentials, that they're gathering through our Credly business. When you put the two of those together, we've got a really, great foundation to understand, mapped against the industry skill shortages that are out there. What actual skills are people emerging from the world of education with? What are they prepared to do? How do those skills match to the jobs, the jobs that need to be filled? And so changing that dynamic to really think about those pathways to fill those jobs is in our gift, and we're hugely focused on it. So we've got to focus on the ships, right? Internship, apprenticeship, scholarship, etc. And so this is core to what we're focused on right now.
That's brilliant. And is there any, what are you seeing? Like, if I put in other words, the new generation coming on the market, wanting to have the right skills to be successful for themselves, for the employers. Any guidance or any sort of skills you feel are more important than ever?
I I think there's a broad shift that we're focused on. I think we're just at the beginning of it, which is pivoting the whole system and the mindset from learn to test. I'm learning so that I can pass the test, to learn to learn, because it's not going to stop after the test, right? The testing is super important. Being able to prove that you know something, and have a qualification that will not diminish. That'll be even maybe even more important in the age of AI. But really, the insight is it can't stop. I'm 3 decades into my career. I think I'm learning more and faster now than I ever have before, because I have to. The pace of technology change, the pace of business change, is only increasing. And so it's a mindset shift that again we're very focused on. We take it to heart around our mission of being the lifelong learning company, and so that's what has to change. I think it's not looking at your time in informal education as this slingshot mode of, like, I'm going to learn everything I need to learn, and then I'm going to shoot myself into a career and be off to the races. It's focusing on learning how to learn and constantly learning. If you can come out of the formal education world with that skill, the critical thinking skills, the study skills, based on the learning science, then you're going to be in a great position to then constantly adapt and learn to the changing world around us. If you just learn for the test, it's going to be harder.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense, and that's great guidance. Learning to learn and adapt. It seems to me that, a few years back, maybe learning was kind of like nice to have, and you can take a job, and the knowledge you acquired will be enough. But it feels like today, actually, learning is a vital component of being employable and working.
Yeah. It is maybe the most important thing I look for when hiring, is someone's propensity for continuous learning and love of it.
Fantastic. And you mentioned apprenticeship, which is quite interesting. So Cambridge Spark, we do data in the apprenticeship, and I love the model because it's super structured, right? You kind of like have time ring fence to learn, but you apply it at work, and you deliver ROI to your employer through work-based projects. So it feels like it's a nice blend between ring fence time to stay up to date, but also translating the skills into ROI, which ultimately employers want, which makes sense. How do you think about, I guess, what are the structured learning models of the future that you think will be, impactful moving forward?
I think the fundamental structure is to be in the flow of life, as we talked about earlier. So flow of work, flow of life, learning in context where the retrieval practice, has the higher stakes of being in the flow of doing something actually productive, rather than something that's a distance from that, is so much more impactful. And so I think the more that we are grounding learning in our actual flow of life, we are, this where the stakes are higher, it's just in time, it's grounded in context. I think those are the frameworks that are emerging as the most important. If it's, I get into an argument with my teenage boys all the time around some of the things that they're studying. They're like, when am I ever going to apply this? And then we'll have the arguments as to when. But it's, if a student can't see that direct applicability in the context of where they're living, operating, working, it's not quite as good. And so I think that's all. I think that's intuitively understood. If you want to go learn a language, then go move to go move and immerse yourself in a place where that's the only language. That's the language spoken, right? So applying that theory to all concepts is, I think, just impactful.
Yeah, I love your vision. Practicality, learning the flow. It's got to be flexible, personalized, and fast, and as a result, more impactful. Which feels like a great opportunity for technology, as always, to support.
I agree. Yeah.
Dave, I've got a few maybe short questions I want to ask you, kind of a bit like a fire round, if you're okay
Sure.
to go with it. Okay, super. So if you had a magic wand and you could solve maybe one problem or one challenge in the education industry, what would that be?
I saw a stat the other day. The average K through 12 schools has over 2,700 tools available to them. It's too
Wow.
much, right? Like like
Yeah.
we need to be able to simplify things, think about the entire learner experience, integrate those capabilities together, and so. So yes, I would, if I could wave a wand, I would think outside the book, and think through the entire learning experience, applying pedagogy and learning science in the flow of students and teachers' lives.
Amazing. That's a big one.
Yeah, you said wand. I mean, that's, if you're gonna wave a
Yeah.
wand, like really wave it, like the.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. That's amazing. Um, hey, maybe more personal questions now. What's your favorite programming language?
Uh, um, so
Don't tell me Cobalt.
no, I'm not gonna say Cobalt. I'm gonna have to say so my youngest is in a computer science class right now learning Python, and so I'm spending my evenings absolutely brushing up on my my Python skills. So whether recency effect, it's I've been all Python for the past few weeks. But
Excellent.
yeah,
I hope it's Python 3.
yeah, yeah.
Great. And last question, what's your favorite music genre?
Oh boy, that's a tough one. It's very context dependent.
So let me paint a scenario. You're debugging code. What's the favorite music
I'm
genre?
debugging code. Oh man, you're gonna so don't judge me for it, but like electronic house,
Oh, nice.
yeah.
I can be on board with that. That sounds cool. Yeah. Well, thank you for your time, Dave. It's been an absolutely pleasure to have you on the podcast.
No, thank you, Raoul. I've got a deep respect for your background in Cambridge Spark, and just love love that we were able to do this, and can't wait to do more together.
What a fantastic episode with Dave, the CTO of Pearson. I've really enjoyed our conversation. There's so many takeaways. What I particularly enjoyed, we discussed AI in 4 categories. 1, AI for internal operations, AI for customer facing and learner experience, AI for tech modernization, and finally AI for the future, right? For the skills that we need in a fast moving world. So what did I take away from it? In operation, it's super clear that AI is super aligned with, productivity, customer support, and content generation, which is a vital part of Pearson's business. When we talk about learner experience, it's great to hear that AI provides such an amazing opportunity to offer more personalized education, faster support, and offer the opportunity to learn in the flow of life, which is so important for learner engagement. We also talked about tech modernization. Actually, AI can help automate code documentation, generate unit tests, translate code from one version to another, which removes a lot of the bottleneck and inertia, enabling the software engineering teams to focus on being agile and shipping new feature faster. So that was great use case. And finally, when we talk about the skills needed for the future, it's super clear that we need to learn more than ever, and we need to learn faster. So learning how to learn becomes essential in a fast-moving environment. So great episode today with Dave. Really enjoyed it. And see you next time on the Data and AI Mastery podcast.
Thank you for tuning into this episode of Data and AI Mastery. If you found value in today's discussion, make sure to subscribe so you never miss an insight from the leaders driving the future of data and AI. And if you're a data and AI leader looking to upskill your workforce with the fundamental data and AI skills to transform your business, Cambridge Spark is here to guide you every step of the way. Be sure to reach out to us on LinkedIn or on our website, cambridgespark.com. Until then, be sure to keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible with data, and remember, mastery comes with continued learning and action. Until next time, stay ahead, stay inspired, and stay masterful.